generate up to how much millivolt? It needs to generate up to plus 30 millivolt. Once it will be generate the plus 30 millivolt, this is the enough current for functioning of the cell, and this current we call as action potential. What we call this? Action potential. So how this cell can make the positivity from the negativity? So now you know that whenever this nucleus get the message, let's please make the positivity inside, this nucleus simply open. It will simply open the channel from here, and these channels are actually sodium channels. So now you can see that this sodium is more higher outside, less inside. Once you will open this channel, what will happen? This sodium will start diffusing inside passively without any energy, I2 low. And once this sodium will get entry inside, the inside area will start becoming the positive, because one positive ion is coming inside. So inside of the cell start increasing the positivity. So what will happen? From minus 70, it will become minus 50. More sodium will come minus 10, more sodium will come plus 30, and once it will become the plus 30, now it produces the enough action potential. Once it produces the enough action potential, what will happen, guys? This channel will be closed. Once this channel will be closed, now this cell done this electricity part. Now this cell again wants to go into the resting condition. Resting condition means again it want to go from plus 30 to minus 70. How could we happen? Now this cell will do what? Now this cell can open the potassium channel, and what will be happen? Once the potassium channel will be open, we know if this cell wants to become the negative, release some positive ion from inside cell to outside cell, and if it is going inside cell to outside cell, we call it as efflux. What we call this? We call this efflux. Something coming outside to inside, we call this influx. Right? This we call it influx. So what will happen? This potassium channel will be open, and potassium high inside, low outside. So again it will passively start moving outside, and again what will happen? This will become minus 10, more potassium will move out, minus 50, more potassium will move out, minus 70. So this is how this cell will generate electricity, and this is how this ion movement would be possible. So sodium influx, potassium efflux. So in SN note I will let you know that's how this sodium is moving inside, how this potassium is moving outside, and that is why we require the sodium and potassium inside the body. Right guys? So I hope now you could understand that's how this electricity generation could be happened. But now thing is that due to this generation of the electricity, some of the sodium is trapped inside, and some of the potassium it went outside. We know normally where the potassium should live. Potassium should live inside the cell. Where the sodium should live? Outside the cell. So what happens? The sodium which actually trapped inside, the sodium which trapped actually inside, we need to send it outside, and whatever potassium trapped outside, whatever potassium trapped outside, we need to send it back to the inside. But we know we are sending this sodium from lower concentration to higher concentration, because we know outside already very high sodium is there. So if we are sending the sodium from low to high, we require the energy. For the same for potassium, low to high, inside potassium is very high, so again we require the energy, and this energy could be done, or this exchange could be done by using a pump. आप जैसे पानी का पंप लगा देते हो, similarly the pump is present over here, and this pump we call as sodium potassium ATPase pump. Sodium potassium ATPase pump. That's why we named it as sodium potassium ATPase pump. ATPase means using the AT. And remember now guys, what happens? What happens? This pump is having 6 seats in it. 6 seats in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is having the 6 seats. Guys, all of these 6 seats are already fixed for the ions. Out of the 6 seats, the 3 seats are present for sodium, 2 seats for potassium, and 1 seat for AT. So now whenever this pump was activating, what was happening guys? This sodium was moving outside, potassium was moving inside. So what was happening? This sodium was efflux and potassium was influx. Potassium was influx. How many sodium was moving outside? 3 sodium is moving outside. How many potassium is coming? Only 2 potassium is coming. So you can see guys, the 3 positive ion is moving outside. In respect of this 3 positive ion, only the 2 positive ions coming inside. So inside of cell, there is a net loss of 1 positive ion, and that's why the inside cell is always going to be negative. So that's why the resting membrane potential is always negative. Right guys? So I hope now you can understand. Yes, Anirudh, very good. So there is a mnemonic for this pump. What is mnemonic? The mnemonic is Nokia. So whenever this pump will be activated, what this pump will do? This pump will do the Nokia. Nokia. Right? Nokia. What is the Nokia? In this Nokia, this is sodium O4 out means efflux, potassium I means this is in means influx, and A means ATP. So this is how you can remember this mnemonic for sodium potassium ATPase pump is Nokia. Right? And what is the coupling ratio? The coupling ratio is 3:2. Very, very important. 3 sodium efflux, 2 potassium influx. Right? So this is how we use the word. So I hope now you can easily understand why we require the sodium and potassium, why we require the sodium potassium ATPase pump, how this electricity generation could be there, right? Similarly, sometimes when this cell wants to make the electricity very fast, so what happens? Not alone the sodium will go inside, the calcium will also move inside. So that is how this calcium influx would also be possible. Now this calcium is also required for the muscle contraction. We require the locomotion, guys. We require to move from one area to another area. How we can move? We can move by using the muscle contraction. Once giving the command for this contraction, this can be done by the calcium ion. So that's why if there is no calcium, no muscle contraction will be there, and a lot of functionality is going to be abnormal or hampered inside of our body. So that's why we require this calcium. So don't ever think that calcium is mainly required for the bones. Bones are actually the reservoir of the calcium. Mainly this calcium is required for the muscle contraction, and this is how all of this functionality is actually occurs. So I hope now guys you could understand what is the sodium, what is the chloride, why we require the sodium potassium pump, how they are generating the electricity, how these cells will produce the electricity. Right? Now what happens guys? Please pay attention. That's till now you understood everything, how this electricity producing and all. Guys, if you find any difficulty, please let me know. Yes, Ashutosh, I'll send it guys, don't worry. राइट? सो आज एंजॉयिंग समझ में आ रहा है बच्चों कि नहीं आ रहा? ये बताओ। देखो ये बहुत बेसिक पार्ट थे जो आपको आने चाहिए। अगर ये पार्ट आपको समझ में आ गया ना तो आगे जब अपन सीरीज में जाएंगे बोलेंगे कैसे लोड कैसे बिजली बना रहा है, आई जस्ट सिंपली से सोडियम इनफ्लक्स, यू कैन इजीली से बाय योरसेल्फ कि आपको कितना मजा आने लगेगा। यस डियर, सो एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर नाउ? स्पीड इज ओके? यस, स्पीड इज ओके गाइस? आर यू कंफर्टेबल विद द स्पीड? ओके ओके फाइन गाइस। नाउ okay guys, so now please write it down. So now please write it down. The sodium potassium ATPase pump, the sodium potassium ATPase pump This present in all cells of the body. There are total 6 receptor sites. This will lead to what? This will lead to 3 sodium efflux, 2 potassium influx using of 1 ATP. And that's why there is a net loss of positive ion from inside of cell leads to the negativity inside of cell and thus help to maintain the RMP. So guys, in everyday life, now let's connect with the nature. In everyday life, you require this sodium and potassium, right? Because you every day require to generate electricity. If there is no electricity, what will happen? There will be no any message transferring, no heart pumping, so everything is not going to happen and you may become that. So you require in everyday life most ions is sodium and potassium. So that's why guys, in the nature, these 2 ions should also be present mostly. And you can see the sea, the ocean. What the ocean contains? This ocean contains the sodium, right? And now you got the sodium from the water. Now what you want? You want the potassium. If you want the potassium nearby of this ocean, which fruit is grown? There is the coconut. There is the banana. So all this banana, coconut, what they contain? They contain the potassium. So potassium you took from this fruit and sodium you took from the water, and that is how you are getting both the ions and you can start making this electricity very well. Right guys? So this is how all of this part is actually presents. Right? Now, talking about different type of transport. So number 1 is uniport, springport, and antiport. Guys, look at over here. This is your cell membrane. How you can define that this is cell membrane? Here you can see the bilayer structure of the lipid, and these are the integral protein. Integral protein means full thickness protein, and that thickness they will cross. Now what happens? There are different type of transport names we call as symport, antiport, and uniport. Guys, if one ion is moving in one direction, we call this type of transport is a uniport. If 2 or more than 2 ion is moving into same direction, we call it as symport. And if 2 or more than 2 ion is moving into opposite direction, we call it as antiport. So that is how the different type of transport is there. So uniport means transport only one substance in one direction. Symport means 2 substances in same direction, which is also known as co-transport, which is also called as co-transport. Now, antiport means 2 substances in opposite direction. 2 substances in opposite direction. So till now we have been seeing how the cell looks like. After that we have been talked about that's what are the components of the cell, then how this membrane transport could be possible, how the substance can cross the cell membrane, and also we talked about the different type of transport. Now the next part is cell signaling. How this cell talks to each other, because as we know the cell is a living part, and if cell is a living part, definitely cell will also talk to itself and to nearby cells. So how this cell is going to be taught, that we call as cell signaling, and for signaling we always use the word crime. What do we use the word crime? So crime means signal. The number 1 signaling that we call as autocrine. Autocrine means when cell talk to itself only. Guys, can you talk to yourself? क्या आप अपने आप से बात कर सकते हो? बिल्कुल सब कर सकते हैं. जब वो हमारे को छोड़ के चली जाए तो हम खुद ही अपने आप से बात करते हैं. When she left you, you are talking to yourself only. That's I did everything for her. Still she left you. So you are going to talk with yourself only. Nobody is required. आप अपने आप से ही बात करो. Suppose you didn't pass this exam, what will happen? You are talking to yourself only. यार क्यों नहीं पास हो पाया? सब पास हो गए. So this is how this autocrine means when the cell is targeting to itself only, right? So this is how the autocrine means when cell target to itself only. When cell target to itself only. And what are the signaling? How this they will give the signal, because cell does not contain any mouth. So how this cell is going to be taught? This cell will talk with using of the chemicals. So these chemicals are there. And what are these chemicals? Like histamine, interleukin, then prostaglandin, beta SCG, right? All of these chemicals. So these cells will release these chemicals, and these chemicals are already having the pre-information whenever this chemical will come, what the nearby cell or this cell is going to be function, or how they are going to be function, or how they are going to be react. So this is all this information is already pre-stored, and this is using of these chemicals. These cells are interacting to each other, right? Now the signaling across the gap junction means suppose 2 cells are very nearby to each other. If 2 cells are very nearby to each other, what will happen? Suppose guys, now your house and her house both are very nearby to each other. Only the one wall in between your house and her house. What we will do? How you can going to communicate with her? Now you can make a hole, and once you make a hole, then via this hole you are going to communicate. आप बोल रहे होंगे सर हम तो WhatsApp से बात कर लेंगे. अरे भैया सेल के पास WhatsApp नहीं है, right? आपके पास WhatsApp है. Cell does not contain the WhatsApp. So this is when 2 cells are very close to each other, they can talk via the gap junction, and this gap junction we also called as contact signaling. What we call this contact signaling. So this is signaling across the gap junction. This is also known as contact signaling. देखो कई तो राणा संगा बैठे यहाँ पे सर दीवार ही तोड़ देंगे, right? Contact signaling. Right guys, and this contact signaling this can be seen in cardiac muscle and smooth muscle. Now the paracrine. This is very important for your exam point of view. Suppose 2 cells are not very nearby to each other, but they are having some distance, means but they are present nearby. To the nearby cell, if they are going to talk, how they can talk? They can't talk it via making a gap junction over here, right? So this gap junction can't do any help. So how this will happen? They will release a chemical. This chemical will pass through this interstitial space, and then it will reach at the target cell area. So this type of signaling, when cell target to the nearby cell, this we call as paracrine cell signaling. So cell target to nearby cell. This we call as paracrine cell signal. What we call this? Paracrine cell signaling, right? So cell target to nearby cell. Very important. They can give you this image, and then they ask you that which type of signaling is there, right? Then suppose 2 cells are very far away to each other. Suppose guys, you are in India and she is in Russia. Now how you are going to talk with her? You are going to talk with her with using of the chitti. You will write a letter. This cell is not having, again what I am telling you, this is not having the WhatsApp. Immediately in your mind it is coming, sir, if you want to talk with her, we can talk with the WhatsApp. That is not having a WhatsApp. How this cell is going to be talked? So right now you are going to write down a letter. This letter will post in the courier. Through this courier she will get the letter, again she will reply to you, and again through this courier we get the message. So this is how, suppose the one cell is situated over here and another cell is over here, right? This finger cell. How this cell can communicate with this cell. So now this cell will release the chemical, it will mix into the blood, and through this blood stream, this message will pass up to this cell area. So this type of signaling, when this is utilizing or this is using the blood stream, this type of cell signaling we call as endocrine cell signaling, and that's why in the endocrine system we always study the heart maps, right guys? So this is your the endocrine signaling. Okay, so endocrine signal. Now there are some molecular motors. Please write it down. Molecular motor. Molecular motors. Molecular motor protein means there are basically the three proteins. So these protein required for intercellular movement. The protein required for intercellular movement, and in this the number one protein is kinesin, number two is thymine, number three is myosin. Kinesin, thymine and myosin. Kinesin is required for anterograde movement. This is required for retrograde movement. Thymine is required for retrograde movement. Kinesin is required for anterograde movement. Right? Now what is the meaning of anterograde and retrograde movement? Please pay attention guys. When anything passing from upside to downside in the body, that we call as anterograde movement. When anything is going from downside to upside in the body, we call as retrograde movement. How the question can be formed? Guys, question can be formed like this. The rabies virus. I told you the rabies virus which entered into this area of your hand. Where this rabies virus want to reach? This want to reach into the brain. Which structure this rabies virus was following? The nerve. Now this nerve, if it is following, this rabies virus is going from the downside to upside area. So this we call as a retrograde movement or anterograde movement. Which movement we call it? Which movement we call it? If rabies virus is going from downside to upside, which movement we call it? Retrograde or anterograde? Yes, this is the retrograde movement. And if it is the retrograde movement, which protein is helping? This help via dyning protein. So this is how this question can be formed. That suppose a boy defecating in an open field area, a pack of dog attacks on this boy. After some days, the one dog is dead. Now this rabies virus is get symptoms into this boy. How, which protein is helps for this rabies virus transmission into the brain? Answer is that dyning protein. So this is how this question can be formed. Dyning for the retrograde, kinesin for the anterograde movement. Now, the next part is intercellular junction. Now we are going to talk about, as I told you, that these cells can attach to each other. If they are attaching to each other to making a structure, guys, it should be connected via some cement, and this cement is present inside the body. So basically it is made up of the protein, and these junctions we call as intercellular junction. So in this intercellular junction, the number one junction, please cut this part, and number one junction, please write it down, the cell to cell junction. Cell to cell junction. Cell to cell means the one cell is attaching to the another cell. So cell to cell junction, and there is two proteins is there. So one is desmosome, and another one is Jonah adherens. Jonah adherens. This desmosome and Jonah adherens. Desmosome basically attach to intermediate filament. Desmosome attached to intermediate filament, and Jonah adherens it attached to actin. It attaches to actin, and the protein which used that is the desmocolins and desmoglians. Desmoglians. This desmosome mainly found in skin, heart, and cervix. So if it is present mainly in skin, if this protein or this cement is going to be defect, this can show you some abnormality or pathological condition into the skin. So guys, remember, if desmosome get defect, this condition we call as pemphigus vulgaris. Pemphigus vulgaris, right? So this can lead to the pemphigus vulgaris. The another junction is cell to basal lamina. Cell to basal lamina. In cell to basal lamina, the number one is hemidesmosome. If it is get defect, this can lead to a condition called as bullous pemphigus. And the B is cell adhesion molecule. In short, we call it as CAM, cell adhesion molecules. And the protein which is used for this junction is integrin, cadherin, and seractin. Integrin, cadherin, and seractin. Right? So these are the cell to cell and cell to basal lamina junction. Then who is making the gap junction? Gap junction. This gap junction is allowed to pass out small molecules, and the protein which is making this gap junction is connexins. Very important, guys. Connexins. And it's found in smooth muscle neurons and the cardiac muscle, but it is not found in skeletal muscle. I'm saying it is not found in skeletal muscle. So this protein is very important, and where it is not found in skeletal muscle. Then the tight junction. This tight junction provides the strength and stability of the tissue. It provides a selective permeability. Some of the area of your body required to attach two cells very tightly. Why? Because we will not allow to give any space in between of that any substance or pathogen can move via this area. So that's why this provides a selective permeability. And the another name of this is jonula occludens. And the protein which is making this tight junction is occludin, claudin, etc. Occludin, claudin, and etc. And this junction is present. Like example, BBB stands for blood-brain barrier, Sertoli cells, renal tubules, intestinal mucosa. Guys, how is the intestinal mucosa? The most favorite dish of the girls, that is pani, golgappa, pani pata. But it is the most unhygienic food. Suppose what is happening? when this girl going to take this pani puri, what happens? This pani puri person is having lots of sweat. Suddenly he just only did something like this and immediately he's mixing the water. So all this water is containing what? All of these pathogens. Now this pathogen can enter into your mouth via this pani puri and it will going into this the intestine. Now you don't want that whatever pathogen is present into the water of this golgappa so that it can enter into the blood. So what happens? The intestinal cells, they are attached very tightly and will not allow to move any pathogen across this cell. What happens if any pathogen will enter into this enterocyte? This is contains the lysosome. This lysosome immediately kills this bacteria, and this is how this bacteria will not able to enter into the blood. So this is how all of this thing is actually present. Similarly, like the blood-brain barrier. Suppose guys you are having a cut mark over here. Due to this cut, what happens? Lots of bacteria which is present over here or into the dust, they got entry